Stand up, fight back. No more black men under attack. Stand up, fight back. No more black men under attack. Welcome to episode. No, I always get this wrong, Janaya. And this is supposed to be a really serious moment. I think I need to laugh and lighten the mood for me.
No,
Um,
we're laughing at you because you don't remember the episode name and number anymore. You used to do a really great job. You
I
used
did.
to do
I
a
used to
really
do.
great job. Yes,
Yes, I
but
did.
lately it's not going well, LBJ.
So
So
take two.
we'll
This is
let you let's try it again. Let's try it again.
all right. Take
Okay,
two.
take
Three,
two.
2, 1. Stand up, fight back. No more black men under attack. Stand up, fight back. No more black men under attack. That was the battle cry of season 4, episode 14 of Scandal. And we welcome you to the Scandalous Scandal recap. I am Larry Brown Jr.
And I am Janiyah Wright. So happy to be debriefing this very important episode of Scandal, LBJ. I mean, what was your reaction to this show?
Janiyah, let me tell you, I was just out the gate. Like for the last 3 or maybe 4 scandalous scandal recaps that we've been doing, hashtag scandal recaps that we've been doing, I've been talking about the social commentary that's been interwoven in the script. And
Yes, you have.
tonight took the cake. It took the cake. If it, tonight, no, tonight prep the ingredients. Tonight baked the cake. Tonight served the cake, and then tonight took the cake. That's what happened tonight with social commentary and scandal. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you're watching and you're tweeting and you're sharing on Facebook, feel free to share the YouTube link with your friends because we're live right now. The time now is 11:09 Eastern time. And if you are tweeting, you can also use the Scandal Recap hashtag right at the bottom of my screen and the bottom of Janiyah's screen. But just join in the conversation. If you're in Google Plus watching, we want you to engage with us in the Q&A so we can have a dialogue tonight. Janiyah, tonight's episode, okay, out the gate, let's just say that there was something going on with Melly and this new vice presidential candidate that could be with Fitz. That happened. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I could care less what happened. Any thoughts there before we dive into like the meat of the episode? Let's just get that out the way. Let's get that out the way.
LBJ, you will rue the day that you tried to throw that part of this storyline out the window, LBJ, because they planted some seeds tonight. Here we have Fitz trying to keep his promise to Melly to set her up for the next seat in that presidential chair. And, where they've now put the vice president in the hospital, LBJ, Fitz has an opportunity to name a vice president and just literally slot them right on into the chair. And so the question is, who do they put in place that will not be competition for Melly down the road? LBJ, they find a few candidates. Cyrus is trying to pick a winner. Fitz is trying to pick a loser. And then Melly goes and she picks a woman which she described, LBJ, as completely unelectable. Okay? And she said, this is the woman, Fitz, that I want as your new VP. And let me tell you, that woman, she did look a little wackadoodle, LBJ. But let me tell you, she also really had an agenda. And so, Melly, you better be careful, girlfriend. You might have just invited the fox right into the hen house. Is that how the saying goes?
Yes, it does. The fox in the hen house. In fact, I feel like I was watching something that talked about bringing. I was watching House of Cards, and they talked about bringing the fox in the hen house. So yes, that is the actual idiom that you're talking about. Dan Blakemore in the Q&A out the gate, Janiyah says that he smells a Janiyah prediction. Do you have a prediction? Dan, do you smell a prediction from Janiyah, like about the whole Melly vice president?
I do, LBJ, because let me tell you why, and thank you so much, Dan Blakemore, because let me tell you this, LBJ, that woman, she was literally sitting there, LBJ, literally with a purse full of ideas about how the government should be running. And they were
wait, she walked in, Fitz like, so do you, she's like, oh, hi, Mr. President, I'm so glad to be here, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm just so elated, I'm so happy, Mr. President. She's like, wait, Fitz said, do you know why you're here? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about, Mr. President, I'm going to talk about the vaccinations, Mr. President. I'm going to plan for the vaccinations, Mr. President. He's like, oh no, that's not why you're here.
Yes, LBJ. LBJ, let me just say this. That woman, they just tried to play her face tonight. And I'm going
Yes.
to tell you, we are going to look back on season 4, episode 14, called The Lawn Chair, and remember the day they thought that they were playing that woman's face, only to find out that their faces are going to get played later on when she says, you know what? My little routine that I was playing for you, where I just tried to act like I was as someone who had just stumbled onto the steps of the White House. She's going to flip the script, LBJ, and she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. That is my prediction.
Well, Janai, you might be onto something. Folks in the Q&A are agreeing with you, and they also would like to sound off as well. Candace Brown, the lovely Candace Brown.
Hey,
Uh,
Candace.
Candace says Melly said she prostituted herself for him. They had a deal. Melly always has a few tricks up her sleeve. And then we've got Deborah Battle in the Q&A. Says, I think this woman might be the next VP, maybe more than Melly can handle, Janaya. What'd you say there?
LBJ, I think once again, me and Candace, as usually, we are seeing eye to eye. LBJ, let me just say this. Many times, Fitz thinks he's a good judge of character. Right? Fitz always thinks he knows what he's going to get from a person. And LBJ, he is a glutton for punishment. He needs to start to go against his instincts because his instincts are leading him in the wrong direction. And Melly right now, let me just say, LBJ, it was so horrible the way she was really just not giving that woman the time of day. When all she wanted to do in that mixer was talk about her vaccinations for 2 to 3 minutes. Melly would not give her the time of day. And LBJ, let me tell you, that woman, she acted like she didn't take a note, but LBJ, I'll bet she did. Anyway, time will tell. Time will
Yes.
tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell. So thank you so much for recapping that and getting that out the way.
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
literally was tapping in and out of that, Janaya, throughout the entire episode. And I don't know if I was the only one who was doing this, but tonight's episode struck a chord with me like no other because it dealt with the overall theme. And there was a slight undertone there when they said that lives matter. And tonight's episode dealt with Black Lives Matter, the fact that Black lives should matter to the public. It should matter to the police forces. It should matter to the criminal justice system. It should matter. Period. And tonight we open the episode with Olivia riding in the car, talking to Jake, and she's like, "I'm headed to bed." All this other stuff. And Olivia has to run up, and she like has to fix something with DC police. There's a situation that she rolls up on, and the situation is that this young black man, Brandon Parker, has been gunned down by a DC police officer, a white DC police officer, and the community is outraged. The community is outraged, and while all the community outrage is going on behind the police tape, we see Olivia roll up and she's talking to the police chief. She's Olivia Pope. She's known in this town. And she's talking to the police chief, and while she's getting the briefing from him to try to help the situation, she's trying to help him diffuse the public outcry that's going on, as well as create the optics for the media shots that are there. Pow! We hear a gunshot go off, and what happens? Olivia and the police chief take cover, and out walks Clarence Parker, who is the father of Brandon Parker. Clarence Parker, played by Courtney B. Vance, comes out, and he's like, "I want to see the policeman who shot my son. Show him to me." And thus began an episode to remember forever for Scandal tonight. Janaya, what were your thoughts when you saw what was starting to unfold as the episode? Were you thinking like, are we really going there? Is this really happening?
Right.
What's going through your mind?
Right. Well, I will tell you, my first thought was, on that more superficial level, can Olivia handle this?
Mm.
If we step away from the very serious societal themes from the show and just talk about that Olivia, the character, she has literally been through something, LBJ, and Jake is not wrong in telling her that she needs to take some time, take a beat, get some advice, find a war buddy she can talk to, and deal with this thing. So LBJ, I mean, my first thought as the episode started to kick off was, will Olivia be able to handle this?
That's
Because
good.
this is a scene that is this story is so emotional for everyone, but for Black people in particular. But LBJ, she literally has just come out of a captive situation, and to walk into this scene now, LBJ, that really is about people who feel like they are captives. So I was really just struck by, that general question of how will Olivia perform in this episode? And it didn't, I will tell you, LBJ, I did have a moment of, LBJ got it right again. You have been predicting for weeks that this storyline about the police officers was going to come
Oh
up.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
said it many times, LBJ. So
I
I also had one of those moments of, ow, he got it again. He got it again.
well, it was crazy because I just had that feeling.
You did.
And in full like disclosure of my thoughts, I think what even further confirmed it was last week when we were, no, 2 weeks ago we were watching the show, and we saw the preview. I'm like, this just confirmed what I
Yeah,
said before about this show. Like, this is really
absolutely.
about to go down. This is really about to happen. And is it going to happen how we think it's going to happen? Is it going to deal with the issues that America has been facing these past few years? Since what is this? I mean, of course we've been facing it forever, but it has been really thick in the country since 2012. So is this really going down like this? Is this really happening? And tonight it happened on Scandal. I love the fact that amidst all of this, the community got together. We did not see the people of the community starting to riot and loot. No, they wanted justice. They wanted to make sure that this young man his integrity and his dignity was going to be protected. And not only they want that for the young man, they want that for his father, Courtney B. Vance's character, Clarence Parker, who showed up on the scene and wanted justice for his son. That's all he
Yes,
wanted. His
right.
his goal was justice for his son.
Yes, indeed.
He was bearing an arm. He brandished a weapon, and he shot a warning shot in the air. And in an effort to protect him and keep him from going down, everyone's like, "Wait, sir." Olivia's like, "Don't do anything else because they're going to kill you, and you know they're going to kill you." And I feel like Clarence Parker had nothing to lose because his wife is gone, and all he had was his son. But then in comes the scene. I mean, coming onto the scene is a character, Marcus Walker. Marcus Walker, played by Cornelius Smith Jr., who actually went to high school with me in Detroit, Michigan. He plays Marcus Walker, and Marcus comes on the scene, and he is a Georgetown, an honors graduate from Georgetown. He runs a nonprofit in Southeast DC in an underserved community. And he's here to support justice for Brandon Parker, and he's supporting Clarence Parker. And he's like, Mr. Parker, Mr. Parker, I've got your lawn chair. Have a seat. These are your rights. Know your rights, Mr. Parker. If you don't know your rights, I know your rights for you. Follow my directions. I'm going to get you out of this. And Olivia's like, wait a second, young man. Who are you? What are you doing? And he's like, no, who are you? Who hired you? And he
Right.
challenged Olivia to the point where it didn't make her lips quiver, but it made Olivia take a step back and say, whoa, I might like this
Hmm.
kid. Do I take this kid on my team? How do I engage with this kid? I love the fact that I love how Marcus Walker engaged with Olivia Pope in this episode.
Yeah, you know what, LBJ? I have to tell you, this episode gave me a lot of mixed emotions. There were moments there where we didn't know whose side to be on, right? There were just a few moments, right? So we always want to root for Olivia, right? We always want her to resolve the situation. But we're sitting there watching this episode, and in the beginning, she literally has been hired by the police, right? And so we're sitting there watching this show, wanting to sympathize with the father, but our champion, Olivia, is there on behalf of the police department. So we're experiencing this dynamic between Olivia and Marcus with such mixed emotions. It's like Marcus is absolutely right that, frankly, a riot is the only way this story is going to get the respect that it deserves, not only with the media, but with the justice system. But at the same time, Olivia's here to fix things. Marcus, get out the way so that she can neutralize the situation. Lots of mixed emotions, LBJ.
But I think that we still need to know. I think Marcus needed to be in the way, Janiyah, because there is, okay, dealing with the social commentary aspect of this. Yes, we are always Team Olivia when it comes to the fixing. We want her to come out on top because
Right,
we love her. That's our
exactly.
cousin. That's our sister. That's our auntie. She's everything. Because, black folks like to adopt. We like to adopt family members. And so she's everything to so many different people.
Right.
But this scenario tonight, it was so interesting because to me, Olivia Pope, taking with parallels in our real world, Olivia Pope was like the Eric Holder, if you will, where she's one of us with color wise, and you wanted to be on her side, but you're like, I know you got to play this role because you've been hired to do this job.
Right.
Do you push the envelope and step out of your role as the contractor, as the vendor, and you become, you stand for something, or do you continue as the vendor and try to see this through to protect your client? And I think that's what we saw tonight with Scandal. And I feel that people were conflicted because, well, no, people were about to, people were going to jump ship on Olivia on Twitter. If you're watching Twitter and tweeting
Right.
live, people were jumping ship on Olivia like,
Sure.
you better not do it. You better not do
Sure.
this. The way
Yeah.
it goes down, and it was so good. But I love the way also that Olivia was smitten. She also seemed kind of smitten by Marcus Walker as he worked. I mean, you've got who is this here? Dan Blakemore. Dan Blakemore says to me, he's like, LBJ, you better know the full character profiles. Use that connection to Shondaland.
You did run it down, LBJ. You really did.
Because I pay attention to all of this stuff, guys, and
Yes.
to me, it has to make sense in my head, and that's how it makes sense in my head. But I love the way that they profiled Marcus Walker to us. I don't think that was for just any reason. Like we definitely see character profiles when they're in the conference room in OPA, and we see them posting the little papers
Right.
on the
Right.
window and everything. But there was something special. There was something special about Marcus Walker that we saw tonight, and there was a spark that he lit in Olivia's eye. And I really hope that's not the last time that we see Marcus Walker on Scandal. We heard his name several times.
Yes,
And
we
remember,
did.
I said, Janaya, don't ever take any piece of dialogue on the show for granted. The
Yes.
words are written in the script for a reason.
Yes, indeed.
Deborah Battle agrees. I'm hoping that this is not the last time that we see Marcus Walker. Thank you, Deborah Battle.
LBJ. And you know what? I want Marcus to come back. I really do because he raised so many, so many of the conflicts that we go through every day as Black Americans. Again, mixed emotions about Marcus. There was a point there where he tried to talk about Olivia being disconnected from the community. He met her and assumed that she could not understand what he was going through, that she could not understand his experience, that she could not understand and really sympathize with Papa Parker. And he pointed to LBJ to try to talk about her disconnect. He pointed to material things. He pointed to her Prada bag, right? He pointed to her political affiliation, right? And LBJ, I struggle with that. I struggle with that general sentiment that that success, on these, and again, on these material terms, but these kinds of things like dollars and cents or political affiliation remove you from the Black community as a Black person. Now, I personally, have chosen a life that tells a different story, working in the nonprofit sector and, definitely not a Republican. But I do hate when people draw that line, LBJ. For me, it's one of these things where it's like, making an assumption about a person's context based on these little artificial things, LBJ, you end up, being as bad as the bad guy. And then anyway, so those things really put me on the defense, LBJ. They really, truly do. I struggle with that.
I totally get what you're saying with, people like, oh, you're not down with us. You're not doing this
I
with
hate
us.
that.
You're not
I really do. Yeah.
I totally get that. And if you guys don't know, Janaya and I know each other. Guys, we know each other for more than
long time.
Now, yes, it's a
Long
long time. Janaya and I met as freshmen at Howard University. So you could imagine we had a whole bunch of folks, y'all down with us, you down with us, you down with us on the campus. And Janaya and I were not the you down with us folks, but we were definitely down. But we just weren't walking around like, yeah, we down, brother, sister, brother, we down, we down. That wasn't us. That's not who we are.
Right.
That's not who we were. However, we were down, and I get what you're saying, Janaya, but I think there's also a faction of people who subscribe to the in order to be down, in order to connect and engage, you've got to dismiss the material facts. You've got to dismiss all
And
of this
I
other stuff and whatever about
right.
you to be able to connect and engage. And I think that's what he was trying to get with her in that little monologue. But it was a great
He
monologue
really
because the
was.
way he checked her heart, because he was like, "Oh,
He
you trying
did.
to come here now with your down girl image," and
Yeah.
it was good. It was good.
LBJ, it was so good actually that I had to write a little bit of it down. He
Yes.
said to her, he said, "Your black card is not getting validated today." What? Uh-oh.
Yes, that's how he ended it. Yep, he ended it just like that. He's like, "Your black card is not being validated today." He just like dropped the mic and went back to the bullhorn. It was good.
LBJ, he walked away because there was nothing more to be said after he had clarified that point. But I will tell you again, filled with such mixed emotions because part of me wanted to say, had to be said, Marcus. But then the other part, but then the other part of me wanted to say, don't marginalize Olivia when you don't even know her, LBJ. But you know what? And the reason I'm bringing up this point, and I just would love to hear what people in the Q&A think. The reason I'm bringing up this point, LBJ, is that what was being dealt with in this episode, from my perspective, one of the key themes is the ongoing conflict that we feel all the time as Black Americans. We struggle with allegiance. We don't know who to trust, you know? And I think about the average young Black man in the average urban community. You would never think of the police as your champions. And you heard this police officer in this episode tonight talking about the fact that he, you know, is really, to hear him tell it, he was going above and beyond by trying to protect the Black community from itself. Right? He's like, this community is lacking in respect for the police department. The police department is there to help and save these people, and they don't know. Therefore, this young man's disrespect justified me killing him. Right? So, but this is the kind of thing. If we can't look to the police, if we can't look to the justice system to champion us, who do we run to, LBJ? And that's the ongoing conflict. And LBJ, let me just say, it did not escape me that just an episode ago, Olivia was there on the auction block, frankly, her life going for billions of dollars, LBJ.
Come on.
Only to find ourselves in this episode tonight where we see a Black life being considered worthless on the street and fighting to show the value of that life. So I appreciated, you know, that, you know, seeing these two extremes, one episode after the other. So LBJ, I would just say once again, Shonda has taken us to the mountaintop. She's raised some questions that we all really need to think about, LBJ, and she's put a spin on this dialogue. I mean, we've been talking so much about this, you know, right now because it's a hot topic. But yes, she really made it real for us tonight, LBJ.
She did. She made it so real for us tonight. It was so good. I love the fact that the way you just broke that down tonight. I'm like you down with us? Are you down with us tonight? Like you're not here. You're not here. You down with us? You down with us, Janaya? You down with us? I love that. Candace Brown in the Q&A says that I think we were conflicted. Going back to my statement about people on Twitter being conflicted, I think we were conflicted because you never want to actually believe that racism is always
right.
And I think that's where Olivia was coming from, just trying to get the truth. You're right. Racism. We really try our best not to, and this is not just with African American Black people. This is with people in general, people who have a heart, people who are sensitive, people who have love inside of them. They don't want to feel that racism is always the issue, but sadly, it's a common denominator in a lot of these crimes that we are seing nowadays. So Candace, you're right. I mean, we want to seek the truth, and like Olivia, we don't want to say race was the issue.
Right. And I love how Dr. Hill 2014 put it in the Q&A. The dialogue the cops spoke in the police department was epic. LBJ, it was, because I mean this was hearing the police perspective, which is, you know, frankly illustrating exactly what Candace Brown was talking about, which is that, you know what, this man was standing here in the middle of this police department talking about, you know, the reality as he saw it. And
Hmm.
LBJ, it was just the most racist thing. But he
Yes,
truly, truly did not see himself as a perpetuator of racism.
he
He
didn't.
didn't, but he definitely was.
He was. He totally was. And I that was the I called that the "you people" monologue, and it was just like it was
Mm-hmm.
that statement was so simple, but that's
Yes.
one of those phrases that when you hear that, it becomes fighting words. When
Yes, it
someone
does.
says "you people," you turn into something else, and you have to make sure that you turn that something else off. Like they told Huck a couple episodes, make sure that man inside of you, that woman inside of you that wants to take
Mm-hmm.
over and kill and bite on, lick and stuff, turn that person off. Because when you hear "you people," most people, no matter what you are, if you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian,
Whoever.
homosexual,
Whoever.
if you like baking cookies at midnight, if somebody says "you people," you turn into something else. And it
You
took
do.
everything in Olivia not to flip on him. If you watched her body language and everything else, Olivia had to refrain from losing it on him, almost turning into her dad and monologuing the heck out of this man. And if you also go back and watch the episode, in the background, there's a guy who's like just over Olivia's shoulder, African American cop, and he is there while he's monologuing, going like this, like straight up, I wish you would. I really wish you would, because I've got something for you if you continue on with this. But I felt like it was important because
Yes.
to me it was an unspoken monologue of so many racists in the
Mm-hmm.
country today. And
Absolutely.
this is exactly how they feel. The racists feel. Those people feel, and I'm using that because the monologue was the "you people" monologue. This
Mm-hmm.
is how they feel as it relates to a different culture, a different race of people that they
Right.
have to engage with. No matter
Right.
if it's black, white, whatever they are, the people who have hate in their heart feel this way. And there's always a moment that comes. I can almost guarantee it. There's a moment that comes where it's all exposed, and we see who they are, and we see their true colors. Can I
Mm-hmm.
just say though, while we were watching all of that, Janaya, the first moment that touched me in the show. So I'll admit, full disclosure, folks, I always say full disclosure. But full disclosure, sitting on the sofa just over my shoulder, I was
Mm-hmm.
crying like by the end of
Yeah.
the episode. Like I was in full tears, like blowing my nose, crying at the end of the episode. The first moment that touched me in
Yeah.
the show was when the community came together and we started seeing things happen, and we started seeing the protests for essentially like justice for Brandon Parker. And the Scandal Jam session made an appearance for the first time tonight in a long time. And it was
Yes.
Marvin Gaye's "Mercy, Mercy Me." What a perfect way to underscore those
Oh,
protests, Janaya.
absolutely, LBJ, because that's what we were all sitting there thinking, mercy, mercy me. But you know what? The second line, things ain't what it used to be. Actually, yes. Things are exactly what they used to be. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's the challenge in today's life, in life today, is to not get so comfortable that you become numb to these things that are happening, right? We can't start to feel like we are disconnected from things like racism because we have found a comfort zone. We can't start to feel like we are disconnected from things like sexism and all of these other, rampant oppressions because we have found a way to survive. We have to make sure that we're having that larger conversation about solutions. And that's why I'm grateful for this episode tonight because it gave us a chance to have an actual, like a fictional story to talk about so we can really look at it from all angles. Generally when we're talking about this, we're talking about a real life that has been lost, right? And so in that moment, it's harder to step back and have the larger conversation because you're emotional. We're talking about fictional characters here, and I'm grateful to Shonda for giving us this opportunity to really debate all sides of this thing. So LBJ, I feel like this was just a wake up call for all of us to realize that these things are happening, down in the street next door, and we have to be aware and we have to all make it a part of our personal mission, our personal journeys to be on top of this, not just in terms of awareness, but in terms of action. So LBJ,
Mm-hmm.
what do we do? How do we activate on this? How do we, make a movement as individuals to try to, think through and make movement against some of these things we're talking about tonight?
I mean, and this is kind of going off from the scandal recap that we normally have. And thank you all so much for engaging with us. We see your comments in the Q&A, everyone, and we're going to get to them. But I think that what you do is you really try to engage in ways you engage with like-minded people. You know, people haven't been engaged with like-minded folks for years, especially when it comes to business. You know, we've got business associations and groups that you can join for women, for men, for lawyers, for doctors. We've got it for, sororities. We've got fraternities in college, and you've even got sororities and fraternities that are active beyond college. You have the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to join associations like the NAACP or the Urban League, where you can involve yourself in your community to figure out ways to further advance what it is, what your interests are, really for equality and for peace
Yes.
and the bottom line, for love throughout all the generations, throughout all the
Mm.
races and things like that. And that
Mm.
really becomes the thing. It's essentially love. It's love. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's how you begin to engage with that. But what I liked about this moment, Janaya, with Olivia and dealing with Olivia and Marcus, we saw two people. We saw two. It was a conflict. I feel that we had another conflict internally because we had two people of color, two people of the same likeness who were seemingly at odds over something that seemed obvious. And I think that so many times in the
Well
news,
said. Well said,
we
LBJ.
see people who are of the same likeness who don't necessarily have the same mindset of the person watching on the other side of the television or receiving the information or engaging with them. And what happens is we always seem to just push them away, or we want to post a horrible Facebook status about them. We want to say something completely out off color about the person and not really hear them out and hear what they have to say. Both Olivia and Marcus had valid points. They did,
Mm-hmm.
but they had to come to the place where they were able to engage in dialogue with each other to figure out what needs to happen. And ultimately, Olivia stood on the side of what was right and what was good. When she did that, Janaya, I was like, yo, Olivia, thank you so much. You raised your fist. I
Right.
appreciate it. Like, you
Right.
tell
Because you know
people
what?
you're
Let
down
me
with us.
just. The police chief knew what was up, and he knew that if he tried to spray some gas or hose on on President Fitz's woman on the side, he was going to get terminated. You know, he would have been on his way directly to that hospital where Andrew is sitting right now. Because you do not play with Olivia Pope, not 3 feet from the White House, you don't. And so, yeah, police chief said, oh, okay, she stepped to the other side. He put up his walkie talkie, guys, hold off on the gas. I think we need to just give that a minute. Yes, you do, police chief. And I was so grateful that she did that, LBJ. But I was going to be interested to see her, you know, resolve the situation in the way that she resolves things while on the police force's side.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if Shonda was going to get us to an ending where the police were both wrong and right, and so I was interested to see that as well. Anyway, but I love the way it panned out. And LBJ, you talked about love. This is a great segue, maybe from away from some of the larger themes back to just the show. Olivia right now, LBJ. I have to say, we went from this several episodes of being so focused on Olivia to now watching Olivia trying to adjust back to real life. LBJ, I was hoping for some sort of segue. I was hoping for a little more of the Olivia individual transition in
Mm-hmm.
tonight's episode, and that was lacking for me. I wanted her to, in fact, if she had not had that little conversation with Jake and a few moments where perhaps her hand was shaking, a little PTSD symptom, there was no acknowledgement of the fact that she was in transition, you know. So LBJ, I don't know. So that was something that was missing from tonight's episode for me. Did that strike you at all?
So I was a little concerned about Olivia with PTSD and everything, and I didn't know where they were going to go with that. I do think that given what had to be tackled in this episode, I'm sure there was probably something that was left on the cutting room floor regarding
Sure,
Olivia and the PTSD. There
sure,
was just
sure.
not enough time to deal with it. In all fairness, I
Yeah,
think that I think in fairness to Olivia's character and to the storyline, I think that we had to see the hand tremble with her walking away with the gun after
right.
the gun was put. I think we had to see that for them to do justice to the character. However, I don't think that it was necessary for us to see something of great magnitude of her
Mhm.
breaking down because essentially she still had to hold it together within. And I feel like if I was in the writers' room, I'd be protesting for Olivia not to lose it in front of all the people like that because she's Rowan's daughter and she's Maya's daughter. And they
Right.
would not get down like that. And she's not wired. She's not created to do that and be that. And so I think that's why we didn't see more of the PTSD ishness with Olivia. But I think they tried to do it justice with Jake, as you mentioned earlier, with Jake
Yeah.
mentioning like, why is Olivia in this? Why she's doing it? Don't you know what happened to her and everything else? And then she's
Right.
like, well, she's Olivia, all the little kids and stuff in the room. So I think
And
that's
LBJ,
why it happened.
there's one more relationship we have to talk about tonight, and that is Olivia and the Attorney General, David Rosen.
Oh
LBJ.
yeah, that was
I
good.
mean, that was so good. I mean, LBJ, Olivia just literally says, "Oh, I can call the Attorney General. Who are you? Oh, I'm Olivia Pope." She picks up the phone, and David, he tried with all his might, LBJ. He tried to check Olivia. He
Hmm.
did. He failed because we found him toward the end of that episode sitting directly where Olivia told him to be. What did
Yes,
you think of that
exactly.
exchange?
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. David Rosen was just like, "Hey, I'm the Attorney General. This is not a priority." I mean, there was some undertone there. There was some real
There was.
undertone right there.
Yeah, there
There's
was.
some real undertone. He's like, "This is not a priority. It's being
Mm-hmm.
handled." He sent his number two, three, four, or five to the scene to handle what was
Yes.
going on just a few blocks from the White House.
Yes.
He's like, "This is unacceptable. We need the Attorney General here. Where's David Rosen?" She's like, "I'm here. He sent me. Who are you?" She's like, "I'm Olivia Pope. Do what I say."
Yes.
He's like, no, I've been sent, and I am the one." And so, yeah, by the end of the episode, it was just like, eat crow, David Rosen, eat crow. Because he had to make the announcement. This is also a touching moment. The Attorney General on Scandal had to make the announcement to the American people as to what happened with that
Yes.
young man's life being,
Mm-hmm.
with the murder, which didn't
Mm.
in the media, with the murder of this
Murder.
man and what happened to the police officer that murdered this young man in cold
Mm-hmm.
blood, this innocent, unarmed young man on the streets. I love the fact that David Rosen had to do
Yes.
that tonight on
Yes.
Scandal. You mentioned something earlier, Janaya, and I pulled it up in my notes from Twitter, but who was this? Shonda Rhimes actually spoke directly to what you were speaking about with the ending of the show. And she said on her Twitter account, she said, we had a great deal of debate about this ending. Whether to be hopeful or not, it was really
Mm.
hard. Hashtag scandal. That's
Mm.
at Shonda Rhimes on Twitter, folks, if you want to check it out. So as you can see, you wondered where she was going to go with it. And she
Right.
said they had a great deal of debate. I loved the fact, and I put this on my Facebook page, and I said this on Twitter. I love the fact that we, the American people, because this is a people, it's not just a black issue, this is a people issue. We, the
Right.
people, got justice tonight through a television show. It just touched my heart. So I told Shonda Rhimes on Twitter, I was like, look, I want to invite you over, I want to cook for you, and I want to hug you afterwards for tonight's episode of Scandal. Thank you so much, Shonda.
Oh my gosh, LBJ. You know what? Well said. This was a triumph for the people because we got a chance to watch things work out in the way that they should, LBJ. And we don't get to see that often, you know? And so you're right. You're right, LBJ. I mean, there was a triumph here, you know? And I have to just say we talked about it a little bit, but just circling back to the significance of that Marcus character, LBJ, and how this episode panned out. You know, and I'm looking at this question from Dan Blakemore in the Q&A. Would Marcus being a recurring character mean that there will be more conversations about race? You know, that makes me think, you know what, would there be more conversations about race? Would there be more conversations about some of Olivia's internal conflicts? I would tell you, wouldn't Marcus be a perfect, real man, not these fantasy men she plucks out of the Senate? Wouldn't he be a nice, real man for her to actually have a relationship with, right? To have some time to think about who she is. You know, he seems like a guy who could really help you have some introspective moments. And so I say bring Marcus back as a love interest. Got that, Shonda? Bring Marcus back.
Janaya, oh my God. Wait, so Dr. Hill 2014, hey Dr. Hill, welcome to the Scandal recap. Dr. Hill asks the question, could Marcus Walker join? OPA? She asked me a question tonight, and it looks like you want Marcus to join OPA, but you want Marcus to join OPA so he can be there for Olivia. That
Yeah,
is hilarious.
I
That's
don't want
hilarious.
him. I don't want him as an associate. I want him as a boo. Bring him back.
Wait, Dr. Hill comes back, and this could be Marcus could be a potential boo for Olivia, according to Dr.
Yes.
Hill, because she noticed something. Dr. Hill says during Marcus's black card statement, Olivia's lips did quiver from being
Yes.
served, and if you make Olivia's lips quiver, you can get that nectar factor going on.
It
Marcus
really
Walker,
can.
are you the one? Are you the one, Marcus?
It really can. And you know what? That would take for that particular actor. That would take his career right on to the next level, and he get a couple more episodes out of this show. And I, frankly, clearly am for it. I'm voting for it right now. Bring Marcus back. Bring Marcus back.
So look, you should go to Twitter. Say so folks listen. If you believe that Marcus Walker should return to Scandal as a
Yes.
gladiator, or just in general,
Yes.
go to Twitter and hashtag Marcus Walker and hashtag Scandal, and make
Let's do
sure you
it.
post that. Bring Marcus Walker back. Bring Marcus Walker back. Scandal. And Janiyah, you should start with a tweet, and then you all follow Janiyah. On her name that's at the bottom of the screen at the Janiyah Wright, and you let them know that you believe you stand with Janiyah and bringing Marcus Walker back. Can I just throw a little a shade curveball your way, Janiyah?
Oh.
Earlier you used a little prop for your walkie-talkie. Can you put that prop again?
Oh,
Where's your
man.
walkie-talkie prop?
It's a high quality device.
Please look at Janiyah's BlackBerry. Look at that old BlackBerry. Why is Janiyah using that BlackBerry, folks? Janiyah, we need you to get a new phone. We need you to get a new device.
This isn't even the most recent BlackBerry. This is
I
like
know.
3 Blackberries ago. It's so bad. I have this too, though. See, I have two.
Oh, good. Okay, that was an iPhone. So you have an iPhone. I have an iPhone on BlackBerry 12. My
Yes.
BlackBerry, I call that my work tether. This is my personal phone. But yeah, so tonight's episode was everything, everyone. I do have to quickly shout out the other song for the Scandal Jam
Yes.
session, which
So
was
good.
by Nina Simone. That song is called "I Shall Be Released," and what a perfect way to bring that episode
Oh.
to a close. Because you had the lyrics of the song and those moments that were happening, and there was so much release taking place in
Yes.
the episode. There was the release of the truth. There was a
Yes.
release that the police officer indeed planted evidence on this innocent, unarmed young man that he murdered. There
Yes.
was a release of that information. There was also a release of emotion. There was a release of emotion over a father to his son, a release for a father having to let the son go, knowing that
Yes.
his son was innocent. He said, "This is not my son's actions. These are not my son's actions. He doesn't carry a knife. He doesn't do this. I wait
Right.
for my son, but since I don't have my wife, I wait for my son every day to come in and turn the key to come into the house and know that everything is okay. He
Mm.
calls me every night to tell me where he is, and I did not hear from him. What was going on with my son? Why did I not hear from him?" Well, he didn't hear from him because the question was released. The answer was released because he got a new cell phone. We saw that his son was reaching for a receipt to show that he purchased a new cell phone. Courtney B. Vance's character Clarence Parker was released from the agony that he was feeling, not knowing what happened to his son, even after seeing the tape. Then we had the
Mm.
release of emotion from Clarence Parker with the president, two men who've lost sons on this television show. And Courtney B. Vance began just crying and wailing on that man's shoulder just to say to the president, "My son's name was Brandon Parker. Not only does not only does this Black life matter, my son's life matters, and so
Mm.
do other lives. And these lives have names. When people
Yes.
are born and they grow up, they have names." So there was a release again of emotion in there. And then we saw Brandon Parker as the show came to a close. We saw
Oh.
Brandon Parker released from we saw the way the camera shot, it was like his spirit was just released and he was free from all of the hatred and the bitterness and the wrong and the evil and the darkness in the
Mm.
world. I shall be released. What a perfect Scandal Jam session moment in
Mm.
tonight's show. Sorry for that soapbox moment, but that touched me. It touched me. I loved it.
LBJ, don't apologize. We thank you for that soapbox, LBJ, because you're so right. You're so right. And this is once again, we're touching on the themes of these specific societal issues, but it's again, we're also still digging in on where we are in terms of the main characters of this show. If there's anyone who is in need of release, it is Olivia. I mean, we have this character here who is in so much turmoil. And LBJ, she doesn't even know yet that they went to her father to try to rescue her and he didn't help. Right? There's still so much that Olivia is going to have to deal with in managing her transition back to regular life, LBJ. So I mean, it's once again, LBJ, you really brought it home for us that song so perfectly picked for where we are in the show right now.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. And again and again, the
And LBJ,
scores of these television
mm-hmm,
shows win over and over again. You're saying
mm,
something. Go ahead.
LBJ, I was just going to say, I was going to give my takeaway, LBJ, which is, just around, there was a conversation again with Olivia and her future boyfriend, Marcus, where she turned to him and she
Oh,
said,
hey, did you all hear how? Did you all hear that tonight is already calling Marcus Walker Olivia Pope's boyfriend? I love it.
I
That's
believe,
hilarious.
I believe in speaking things. I believe in the power of the tongue. Okay.
Wait, can I just say that though, like as an aside, Marcus Walker, Cornelius Smith Jr., the actor who plays that character, is actually in the same tribe as Olivia's husband. Did you realize that they're in the same tribe of look? Like
No.
their aesthetic is the same. Just look up Olivia
Aha.
Pope, so they look alike. Yes.
Aha. LJ. She said to him in the early parts of their discourse, she said to him, she said, I am not your enemy. And do you know what he said, LBJ? He posed the question. He said, are you sure?
Mm.
And LBJ, she was not sure. None of us were. And so I just thought that little exchange right there really, LBJ, hit home for me. And it took me in a couple of different directions. My first reaction was, again, a reaction on the defense because I see so much of myself in the Olivia Pope character. And I thought, my gosh, who are you, Marcus' future boyfriend, to question me about what I'm doing? My motivations and my context. But the other part of it, LBJ, is the importance of setting aside some time to think about your context, LBJ, and just making sure that you really are truly being genuine and leading from a point of view that you have selected. It's
Mm.
easy to just get into the rat race and find yourself, projecting the cliche point of view. Have you had some time to sit down and think about your genuine reactions to things? Because if you have not, then you don't know the correct answer to this question. Are you the enemy? Are you sure you're not? Anyway, so LBJ was just it was a point of reflection. Shonda, once again, challenging us to step back and think about what's important to us and who we are.
Very good, Janaya. That was very, very good. So you're dealing in takeaways and such. Before I get to my take, that was a wonderful takeaway. And it's funny that you have a takeaway that kind of mentions and deals with Shonda because my takeaway deals directly with Shonda
Mm.
as well tonight. Yes. But before I go there, I was recapping my notes and I also saw that I've got something that Olivia said that kind of also dealt with her current situation that was going on, how she wants to have control, but she necessarily can't. And it's when she was talking to David Rosen in his office prior to the release of all the information, the release of the episode tonight. And she says to David, she says, I can't fix this. I have no tricks in my bag. It's too much,
Mm.
David. It's just too much. It was a lot for Olivia to deal with tonight. It really was a
Yeah.
lot. But my takeaway tonight, Janaya, is based on it's based in the Bible, and it's found in Luke chapter 12, verse 48. And it says, for unto whomsoever much is given, of him or her shall much be required. And it goes on to say, and to whom much was committed, more will be asked of him or her. But he that know not did not, and then with these worthy stripes, blah, blah, blah. To whom much is given, much is required. Shonda Rhimes, you took the mantle of your responsibility. You took the heaviness of your platform. You used it for good, and I appreciate everything that you did tonight. And that's my takeaway. To whom much is given, much is required. Shonda Rhimes tonight brought a call to action and a call to attention to America and everyone who watches Scandal, however they watch Scandal
Yes, she
around the
did.
world. And in tonight's episode of Scandal, she called to attention the injustices that are taking place in America right now. And how dare us come together every Thursday that this show comes on and revel in misogyny and adultery and all these different and debauchery and all this different stuff that goes on in Scandal. And granted, there's some great strategy too. There's not everything is not all negative in Scandal. But how dare us come together and deal
Right.
with these different issues that we've seen? How dare us come together and see this character, this powerful woman, try to fix these situations? How dare we see this powerful woman give of herself to a married man? How dare us come together and talk on a scandal recap like we're doing right now and reading Q&A comments and not realize the magnitude of what we are called to do. We have to love people. We have to treat people fairly. We have to
Yes.
treat people right. And Shonda Rhimes tonight was the catalyst to have
Mhm.
conversations beyond what we think. Now, someone in the Q&A said that some of these things are continuing to be elephants in the room. They are
Yes.
elephants in the room to some people. However, as you can see, we will take time here to talk about it. And I will hope that each and every one of you engage your personal networks to have dialogue about these issues so that we can get to a better place. It starts localized and it
Yes.
grows and it builds. That's how moments become movements. So, Shonda Rhimes, thank you so much for contributing to the movement tonight through Scandal Season 4, Episode 14. The episode is called The Lawn
The
Chair. Ladies and
lawn
gentlemen,
chair.
to whom much is given, much is required. Get a lawn chair, connect with your neighbors, connect with your networks, and have dialogue and lawn chairs and talk to people about what's going on to make this world a better place. That's my takeaway tonight.
Right on, LBJ. Right on. And you know what? Right on, Shonda. Because LBJ, the thing about the news is that it is fleeting, right? News is over 10 seconds after you hear it. But a show like this episode will live forever, right? And as long as we have things like Netflix and Hulu that encourage binge watching, LBJ, this episode is going to continue to resonate for years and years and years. So I just want to echo your bravo to Shonda for really using her platform to keep this dialogue moving. So right on.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. You said something and it jogged my memory, but I forgot. But I think what we should do is get some of these Q&A
Round
statements
robin,
out.
round
And a,
robin.
yes, and a round robin. Let's go for it. Kick us off, Janaya.
LBJ, Kimmy J said she was agreeing with you. We did get justice through a TV show tonight.
Yes, she did. Yes, we did. We got justice through a TV show. Thank you so much, Kimmy J, for agreeing with us, plus the other three people who agreed with your comment. Dan Blakemore, our favorite Dan Blakemore, says, shout out to the Howard University, HU, and
No.
and Howard students are doing this now. Like, they're like, yes, like you say Howard, you got to do this. I didn't know that. So whatever this is, shout out to Howard. I got to
Well,
find out what it is.
that didn't start before 2003, so I reject it.
Right.
Okay, so
And it's our Charter Day weekend celebration. So happy birthday to Howard University as well.
HU. HU. Candace Brown in the Q&A said, but I think it's true to Olivia's character to push her own stuff to the side to be a gladiator. It's so true. She never focuses on herself. And Dan Blakemore concurred, saying that he wasn't expecting much transition for Olivia's character. He expected us to go right on to the next thing.
Yeah,
It's true. It's very consistent.
it is. It's consistent with Olivia. Dan Blakemore comes back though, and he's like, Marcus is not ready for Daddy Pope. Marcus is not ready for Daddy Pope. He can't hang with command. I don't know Dan Blakemore. Marcus
Mm.
Walker has no cut card so far. He doesn't care. He's no respecter of persons. In fact, I think Daddy Pope might like Marcus because he could get down with him and does not care.
I have to say, and I never actually thought it was going to happen, but Dan Blakemore, you and I have a point of disagreement. Let me tell you, I think Marcus knows himself better than any man we have seen go head to head with Daddy Pope. And I think Marcus, hashtag future Olivia Boo, is absolutely up for the chance. Oh, and Kimmy J said, she's looking at the context for the show, and she said, too bad Olivia wasn't in Ferguson or Ohio or LA.
Oh
Aha.
yeah, that would be great
Mhm.
if Olivia was in any one of those situations while she was there. Oh, let's see. Oh, look at this, Janaya. So Glenda Wyndham. Hey, Glenda Wyndham. Thank you so much for joining us. Glenda says, "Hey everyone. Hi everyone. I'm sick, but I will be sitting in tonight. I will be giving my thumbs up. Yay! Glenda Wyndham, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for
Thank you,
participating. We hope
Glenda.
that you get well. Get you some cod liver oil tablets, get you some orange juice and some Gatorade and some soup, and get well soon.
Absolutely. We're so grateful for you, Glenda. And also Dr. Hill 2014. She was giving you some shout outs, LBJ. She said, preach, Reverend Dr. Brown Jr. Hashtag my son does not carry a knife. Hashtag release. Hashtag crying and bawling. I love it.
I wish that was Twitter,
Gets me
Dr.
like
Hill
a long,
2014.
yeah, yeah. I like a long hashtag. I do. I have to tell you, I like it. I like it a lot. I always have.
This is why I love my people, because we
I live
create
for it.
random hashtags. We create
I
random
love
hashtags.
it. Yes, we do. We're very good at it.
Oh, wait, she said preach Reverend Dr. Brown Jr. Dr. Hill, that was so good. Like, it made
So
me laugh
good.
up in my eyes. That was good. Thank you so much. Dr. Hill was the one who said the comment I mentioned earlier in my takeaway, and she says,
Mm-hmm.
"Race, gender, and equality continue to be elephants in the room," and
They
that's what it
do.
is. They continue to be elephants in the room.
And I also, Dr. Hill 2014, once again, seeing eye to eye, that she agrees with me. She said, I am with Janiyah on Marcus becoming Olivia's bae. Oh, yes. Dr. Hill 2014. If we believe it and we receive it, is that how it goes? You gotta.
And then you can achieve it. Then you can achieve it.
That's right. That's right.
Oh gosh, is there anything else that we said? Oh, we can't forget the Jackie O 2006 here. Candace, she's saying something back to you. Candace, he said, "What I know in my heart, racist cops think and feel about us. Just like you
Mm,
spat it out, Shonda has her finger on the pulse, and I loved this episode."
mm.
Hashtag Black Lives Matter. What a wonderful way to close out tonight's round robin.
Yes.
Tonight, it was so good.
So good. It was so great to share this with everybody and so great to be a part of this moment with this show. So great debriefing it with you, LBJ. I just somehow we managed to have a good time talking about all the isms of the world. And I thank you for that.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you for the discourse as always. Love you, friend. You're the best. You're the bomb. You're great. Thank you so much. Any predictions, though? Any predictions before we say bye bye tonight?
LBJ, it's a prediction. It's also, again, a hope and a dream. You know, Marcus, we want to see you again. That's all I'm going to say for now, LBJ.
All right. Well, that's that. And I think that, gosh, I lost my train of thought again. My prediction is that, yeah, this scandal's coming on next week. That's my prediction. I've got nothing because tonight's
LB,
episode really did wreck me. Like, I care less about the whole Melly situation, all that stuff. I care less about it. But yeah,
although, LBJ, I will just say Melly and Fitz have been getting kind of close lately. Dot, dot, dot. We'll discuss it next week.
yes, we will. We will discuss that next week, and make sure you all are here for the next Scandalous Scandal recap. We thank you so much for joining. Make sure you share the YouTube link from the page with the folks that you follow, the folks that you talk about Scandal with. Get them engaged with the Scandal recap. Let them share with you. You share with them and bring them into the folks. We can have more folks in the Q&A. We're going to bring back soon the Gladiator Report so we can get some of you back in here talking with us and having a great time. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in the Q&A. We love you so much for watching and engaging with us. Until next time, I'm Larry.
And I'm Janiyah. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.